YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here with another video, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over why I believe the Washington Redskins got the best head coach and Coach Ron Rivera. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. But before we do, make sure you guys go down below, leave a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, and turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload a video about the NFL, or in this case, my Washington Redskins, or should I say our Washington Redskins. And let's get straight into today's video. Now, I turned this into somewhat of a series. You know, I did one on Jack Del Rio, and I did one on Scott Turner previously. Both links will be in the description. Now it's time for the big dog and the boss of them all. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video.
What we do here is go back.
Now, every time that we do this kind of video, you know I always got to give you some background information on the person that we're talking about here today. So the person we're talking about today is obviously Ron Rivera. So who is Ron Rivera? Ronald Eugene Rivera, born January 7th, 1962, nicknamed Riverboat Ron, is an American football head coach for the Washington Redskins of the National Football League. Before becoming a coach, Rivera played college football at the University of California, Berkeley, where he was recognized as an All-American linebacker for California's Golden Bears. He was selected in the second round of the 1984 NFL Draft by the Chicago Bears and was part of the 1985 team that won the Super Bowl. He spent 9 seasons playing for them before retiring in 1992. So Ron Rivera was a part of that 1985 Bears defense who won the Super Bowl. So Ron Rivera, Michael Singletary, William Refrigerator Perry, the list goes on. The best defense, or one of the best defense to ever step on a gridiron, arguably the best defense to ever step on a gridiron. Now let's look at some of Ron Rivera's career stats as a player. He obviously won Super Bowl in 1985 with the Chicago Bears. He was the East-West Shrine Game MVP in 1984. He was an All-American in 1983, and he also won the Pop Warner Trophy in 1983. He was the Pac-10 Football Defensive Player of the Year in 1983, and that's really just some of his stats. Now let's look at Ron Rivera as a coach. He kicked off his coaching career in 1997, where he was the Chicago Bears defensive quality control coach. In 1998 to 2003, he was the Philadelphia Eagles linebacker coach. He was the Chicago Bears defensive coordinator, so he went back to Chicago for the second time as a coach. Then 2007, he was the San Diego Chargers linebacker coach. And then 2008 to 2010, he was the San Diego Chargers defensive coordinator. And then from 2011 to 2019, he was the Carolina Panthers head coach before he recently got fired. In 2020 to present, he is our head coach of our Washington Redskins. Now let's look at Ron Rivera's head coaching record. His regular season game record is 76-63 and 1 tie. His postseason record is 3-4, so that brings his career total to 79-67 and 1 tie. Hey, that's somewhat good, since for the Redskins in these past couple years, they haven't had a head coach that was positive by just one game. Now, let's get down to business on why I believe the Washington Redskins got the best head coach and one Ron Rivera. Now, we all know about how Ron Rivera competitiveness and his grit and he's going to bring the culture change or whatever, or the military background. We already know that. We already know that's one of the reasons why the Washington Redskins are going to be good in 2020 or beyond. But the other reasons why I believe that the Washington Redskins got the best head coach is because, one, he brings that winning attitude to the Washington Redskins, which has been missing since I want to say the middle of the 80s, early 90s, when Joe Gibbs was in his prime. You know what I mean? Yes, we had winning seasons here and there. One in 2005 where we won the wild card game. 2012 and 2015 also, but we haven't had winning since the mid 80s, early 90s, on a consistent basis. You know what I mean? Maybe we had a little spurt here and there, like in 2012, where we had a miracle season down the end of the road, where we were 3-6. Then we went on that 7-game win streak and got into the playoffs and played the Seahawks, which we still to this day should have won. We started that game 14-0. No, RG3 got hurt. I would have just put in Kirk Cousins instead of forcing RG3 to continue that game. But that's in the past. And in 2015, where we started off on fire too, firing all cylinders, Kirk Cousins game. But then that one penalty that Deshaun Jackson committed ruined the whole game. You know what I mean? It made the momentum flip. So that's one thing that I believe Ron Rivera can bring to the Washington Redskins is, winning on a consistent basis. You know what I mean? He said in his presser when he first got the job here is that Mr. Daniel Snyder told him when he first got the job and envisioned what the Washington Redskins could be. He first mentioned teams like the Seahawks, the Patriots, the Steelers, the Chiefs. You can throw the Chiefs in there, and then you can even throw the Ravens in there. And what do all those teams have in common is they win on a consistent basis. You know what I mean? They don't have 1 year where they slack off. Even if they do, you know what I mean? It's still a historic franchise to the point where it's like 1 year of them slacking off is okay. You know what I mean? And I like to use the Steelers as an example because we know the Steelers haven't had the best seasons in the past 2 years, but they still have one of the greatest head coaches in Mike Tomlin to touch this game, and they have the most Super Bowl rings and the most regular season wins in NFL history. You know what I mean? So that's a franchise that is consistently winning. We can even throw the Seahawks in there. The Seahawks, whether or not they had the Legion of Boom or up to now, where where their weapons isn't as solidified as they were back then. You know what I mean? And they still found a way to win that NFC West, that tough NFC West. You know what I mean? With the Cardinals on the rise, the 49ers obviously. I know the 49ers won it this past season, but it came down to the wire. I think it was in game 16, 15 in Seattle. Marshawn Lynch first game back. Went down to the wire. Seahawks had it in the bag, but they choked it. So, I mean, Seattle is a perfect example, too. And that's what I believe Ron Rivera can bring to the Washington Redskins is winning on a consistent basis. Now, this first year, it might not pan out to be what we think it's going to be here, the first season. I really do think that it can switch in 1 year because Ron Rivera said he doesn't believe in a long rebuild. He said he can get things flipped here fast, you know what I mean? Because the talent is here already, you know what I mean? The talent isn't a problem. It was just always the culture and getting the right coaching staff here to put the best players on the field, you know what I mean? Because Greg Minuski, just one player from the last coaching staff, he had all this great talent, but he just never used it right, you know what I mean? I'm not saying the 3-4 is not good, but the 3-4 is a little complex, and a lot of guys on our team didn't fit that scheme, and that's why I'm happy that we're switching to the 4-3 because I'm not gonna say it's easier to grasp, but it fits our player scheme. Now, another reason why I believe the Washington Redskins got the best head coach in Ron Rivera is because he brings that winning attitude. When is the last time the Washington Redskins, or when has they ever had a coach that I want to say outside of Mike Shanahan maybe, or even Joe Gibbs back in the late 90s, late 80s, early 90s, where they did win a Super Bowl? Other than those two, I can remember off the top of my head. When has it been a coach here in DC where he brings in two, not one, but two Coach of the Year awards? He went 15-1 on the season. He also had a Super Bowl 50 appearance. No, he didn't come out on top, but just making it to that game shows something. So he has a long resume, you know what I mean? Not only can he touch the players, by, because he played the game, but he also can touch them because he coached the game, and he has a very proven coaching resume as he does player resume, you know what I mean? In fact, his coaching resume is more, popular and more impactful than his player record was, or player stats was back when he played for the Chicago Bears. So, I mean, he brings that winning attitude to DC, and he's going to make a player run through the wall for him. And I just like what we have here going here in DC, you know what I mean? Thomas Davis. Thomas Davis is one player that we brought in, or that Ron Rivera brought in, to teach him how he want things ran. And before Thomas Davis got picked up by the Washington Redskins, he said, man, the Washington Redskins are lucky to have a coach like Ron Rivera, because he's going to make you want to run through a wall for him. He's going to make you want to run through a wall for him. And when is the last time you heard that happening here? You know what I mean? I guarantee you, I can name at least 20 people on the Washington Redskins that did not want to run through a wall for one Jay Gruden. You know what I mean? So just the fact that he has that much control here in DC, or just on any team that he coached for, is just crazy. You know what I mean? Look at the Panthers resume, man. I know they haven't been good for I want to say past 2 years. But it's just because Cam Newton was hurt. When Cam Newton was healthy and in his prime, the Panthers were one of the top teams in this NFL. You know what I mean? And I just feel as though he can be the same for one Dwayne Haskins. You know what I mean? He touched with Cam on a personal basis, and I think he can do the same for Dwayne Haskins. Now, he hasn't came out and said Haskins is going to be the starter, but we all know he's going to be the starter. Let's just be real here. And then the last thing before I get out of here that I want to talk about, the reason why I believe the Washington Redskins got the best head coach in one Ron Rivera is the Panthers Chemistry. The Panthers Chemistry. He brought in Scott Turner, his offensive coordinator, one that he was with in Carolina for the past couple years, and who else? His dad, Norv Turner. So, I mean, even if he didn't bring in one Norv Turner, which a lot of people thought was going to happen, which you highly doubted because Dan Snyder fired Norv Turner when he was the head coach here. Even though if he didn't bring in Norv Turner, he brought in his son, Scott Turner. So that the apples don't fall far from the tree. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure that offensive scheme is really similar. So that's probably why he wanted to bring in one Scott Turner. Not just because he had the Panthers chemistry, but he has his father's genes. You know what I mean? And his father's smartness and geniusness. You know what I mean? So not only just the Panthers chemistry with Scott Turner, but the quarterback coach. Also, you have Jack Del Rio, who they are good friends. You know what I mean? The chemistry here in Washington is just great now. You know what I mean? Last year and the years previous or prior, it didn't seem like the coaches here were on the same page. It seemed like everyone here was in their same little boat and their little mindset, and finally that the Washington Redskins get a stable coach, a coaching staff that's all on one page and all on the same page, and finally having an owner that is gonna just back off and let the coaches do what they got to do to make this team successful, and a bright young VIP personnel and one Kyle Smith. This team is on the uprise, man, and I just love what they're doing here in DC, finally changing the regime up, man. And I just can't be more proud to be a Washington Redskins fan, man. All that pain and misery is finally starting to wash away. Now I know that they haven't proven anything on the field, but just by the off-field moves here this year so far, it just makes me so happy to be a Washington Redskins fan. And I just can't wait for this 2020 season if it does in fact happen, because we have so much talent. Just imagine what Jack Del Rio is going to do with that defense. Just imagine what Scott Turner is going to do with that offense. I just can't wait for this season, and Ron Rivera is going to be the captain of them all, man. So with that being said, it's been your boy Juan Gotti. Like, comment, subscribe, hell to the Redskins, turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload a video about the NFL, or in this case, our Washington Redskins. Look out for the next video. It's a good one. And let me know what you guys think down below. Do you believe that the Washington Redskins got the best head coach out of all the coaching hires this season? I personally believe so. Without further ado, it's been your boy Juan Gotti and Riverboat Ron. I'm out. Peace.